Hello, welcome to my new channel, Emerging Soul Tarot. If you enjoy it, please like, subscribe and comment, as it will help grow my channel. I'll really appreciate it. If you feel anyone else would benefit, then share, please share. The read today is a reflective reading using the tradition of counting the Omer. There's a brief outline of the purpose of this practice below in the description box, and there's also links to my blog which will further explain what it's all about. I'll be posting the reflective reads daily, but I'll also be doing some more traditional reads, especially in terms of the moon cycles. Hit the bell notification if you want to watch the reflections daily. These cards were pre-selected to reflect Chesed of Chesed, which is the first day of the Omer, but I'll pull some more cards later in the reading. So we start the reflection with the Rumi Oracle, and this was pulled from shuffling randomly, but it really does describe the whole feeling of Chesed, and it's called the Dissolving Light. And I'll read straight Rumi's words on this card because they're so apt. He says, I died as mineral and became a plant. I died as plant and rose to animal. I died as animal and I became human. Why should I fear anything? When was I ever less by dying? Dare to take my hand and become set alight with holy fire, my cherished one. Step forward with me. Let us burn together, disassembled in the light that can't be extinguished. This is the light that burns with such incandescent truth that no falsehood can withstand its audacious vibrancy. Come with me now to the light, together we shall melt into truth. So that's kind of a really good outline of Chesed and Chesed. Chesed is actually about abundant love, grace, mercy, boundlessness, loving kindness, grace, mercy, expansion, all that kind of thing. So it's a fantastic card to start the read with, and to begin to have a look at the abundance that is coming down to us in the tree of light from Chesed. It's the first Sephirot that we can actually kind of have connection with. It's the highest, but one that we can have connection with, that we're working towards. Now I've got here the major arcana, and they're the cards I've selected that I feel really kind of typify our journey through the tree, our journey through life really. And then these bottom fours are all fours, the fours of each minor arcana, which reflect the four of Chesed. So our first card is the Chariot. Now the Chariot is the vehicle that we travel the world in, really. It's you can see the guy, he's got the cosmos on his head, he's got the breastplate, which is right action, right thought, right emotion, and he's in control. He's got his scepter, so he's kind of an adept. He's learned to master things within the world. He's in control. The black and white sphinx at the bottom is representative of duality, so he's learnt to negotiate and to merge the duality, which is the opposites in life, you know, like emotionally it's love and hate, war and peace, all the dualities. He's worked hard to do that within the world. So he's kind of got a level of control there. And when the divine, the divine love comes down to us, when we're receiving source, we're supposed to align to that kind of sense of oneness in the duality. So so there's your chariot. We need to keep faith and trust, because actually the shadow side of this is kind of giving up on your inner work, giving up on receptivity, having poor direction, not knowing where you're going. So he can reflect both sides. So that's our chariot. The next one we've got is the Temperance card. So Temperance is about the balancing of the 4 elements. So it's your earth, water, fire and air. And she's got 1 foot in the water, which is representing the unconsciousness, and she's got 1 foot on the land. So there's a kind of balance there between the 2 worlds, the seen and the unseen. And she's pouring the waters from 1 cup into the other. So she's got the sun, he got the sun on the forehead. So this is again, it's about, the chariot's more about balancing the worldly concerns, our intellect, our emotions. This is more about balancing and aligning with the unseen. But as humans, it can be like the dark night of the soul experience. So that is another good way. It's a kind of path. Temperance is the path near the abyss to us, and the dark night of the soul. So it's a card of moving towards selfless love. The thing that needs to be reflected on is, am I giving selfless love, or am I expecting love to come to me? Am I constantly assessing life as what I deserve, that kind of sense of entitlement that we often get. Our relationships are not good because we're kind of adding up what we put into it and what somebody else is putting into it, and then it's a sense of entitlement, the shadow side of it, self-centeredness. It's egoic resisting healing. So the questions we can ask, as there's an abundance coming down to us from Chesed, are we resisting it, or are we constantly feeling entitled to receive? Because actually this is kind of like a week of love, in the sense we need to look at our shadow self and say, are we giving out of the overflow of abundance that is in the world? And then we talked about the world, we move on to the world, and the world is more of a cosmic card. You're moving from that kind of balancing of stuff within the world, and you're 1 foot in the spiritual and the physical with the temperance and balancing of the elements. This is where you're really moved into the inner planes of your unconscious mind. It's kind of like the myths of what's her name, Persephone, who goes into the underworld. It's descent of the soul. So, and if you see her there, it's really cosmic. She's got Aquarius, Scorpio, Taurus and Leo, that's all the elements. That's air, water, earth and fire. And she's in command. She knows she's looking to the right, to the rising sun, which is Aries. So she's looking to new horizons. So she's sort of someone who's got this real inner psychic, the spiritual world, you know, the ability to embody all the unseen, but to actually live in the physical world. You know, if we don't return to the world with what we learn in our descent to the soul, if we're not going to give generously out of the overflow of what we've learned, our wisdom, you know, what we've received from divine, then we're kind of not moving in that flow of love. So we've got the worldly flow of love, you know, the balancing, the bringing into alignment. We've got the kind of balancing of all the elements of all our psychological, our intuition, our emotions, senses, feeling. So that's temperance. And you've got the cosmic, you know, the complete unconscious, not just our conscious, the collective, the anima mundi, the collective consciousness. This is the card, it's the end of the tarot deck, so this is the card of the master, really, where you've mastered all those levels, and you're kind of coming back to the world to bring an elixir to the world of what you've learned, to give back, to imitate the overflow of abundance that you've received. And then on the minor arcana, the fours, as I said, they represent Chesed. So we got the Four of Wands. So this is like a symbol of marriage, of union, and with Chesed it's that divine union. So in a lot of traditions it will be the union of the sacred feminine and sacred masculine, that kind of balance, that ability to combine the two forces. It's the rising of the Kundalini, it's union with the divine, really. That's a marriage. Yeah. So the questions, you know, the questions that we could be asking ourselves within this are, you know, where am I open to love? You see all the wands are open. Where am I open? Where am I closed down? Where am I withdrawing? Which kind of leads on to our Four of Cups, because you've got the guy here, you've got the openness there of the wands and the marriage ceremony, the welcome home, the returning to the divine. But this guy here is sitting here folded arms. He's got a cup being offered to him, but he's got three in front. Now it can either be like a, nah, I don't see anything divine. I just see what's in front of me. I see the material. I see what I got. Or it could be a person who is limited, you know, a limitation. We got to ask ourselves, you know, where do we refuse love? Where do we stop love flowing to us from other people? Where are we kind of blocking it off? It's a good question to ask with the Four of Cups. And then we move to the Four of Swords, which is about your thought life. It's about the mental body. So this card, there's a knight laying on a coffin. The knights, this is initiation. The knights in the Crusades, for example, the knights of those days, they used to go into the church in a white robe, and they would spend a night vigil in the church, either on top of the coffin, but they would pray, they would meditate, and they would seek the will of God. So it's a kind of reflective, meditative pose. It's that kind of energy where we are seeking, in whatever way we seek, whatever tradition, if any tradition, doesn't matter. It's that seeking out the love, the purpose, the truth, the beauty, the harmony, all the things associated with love and the abundance of love. So here's the knight. That's the initiation. He's about to go on the descent, you know, because he's going to descend into his soul. He's going to look at where he's deflecting or refusing love, what his limitations are, and he's going to put his trust and faith, you know, as with going on the chariot, his trust and faith in divine, in his higher self, in his intuition. He's preparing for a journey, you know, to emerge as this person from the underworld, like Persephone, who came up from the underworld, you know, back into the world. So that's an initiation card. And then we come to our Four of Pentacles, and a lot of people read this as a pretty negative card. It can be seen, I don't think any of the tarot are negative, but there's this guy sitting with his pentacles. Pentacles is like an earth energy, and you know, if we're balancing all these energies, this is more about the sense energies, your you know, the five senses. Literally, it really is the material side of things. But it could be that he's, you know, rather than hanging on to him, you could see this card as he is grounded. He's grounded on the earth. He's got the earth in his heart, and he sees the reality of life. So yeah, he could be seen kind of as somebody who is hanging on to all these pentacles, or in a spiritual sense, he could be seen as someone who has grasped and understands the five senses, because there's a level that you can go to that, you know, where via your five senses you can see the beauty of the earth. You can in your intellect, you know, in your mind, you can hear, see, you can learn, you can see the beauty of and the abundance. You can value what you've got, you know, you can take good care of what you've materially got in the world. There is nothing wrong with material. It's about being balanced in the material. So yeah, again, questions, you know, that to reflect on is, am I grasping? Am I pushing away anything that's outside of my normal five senses? Am I pushing away the intuition? I mean, this is a card of kind of rejecting intuition. You could see this as he's not embracing intuition. He's just looking at the material, or he's stuck in his emotions and not using his intuition. So with this Four of Pentacles, we could reflect in terms of love and abundance. Are we seeing the magic? Are we seeing beyond, you know, like when you're children and, you know, there's fairies under the bush and you look at the world with wonder. Have we lost that? Are we just stuck in our five senses to kind of feed our mouths and get what we can out of life? Or are we using our senses to generate good things for other people, not just for ourselves, but are we serving other people with everything that we've gained in life? So they're the cards of Chesed, in a sense, as I see them. And it's a case of reflecting on those things today, you know, spending some time looking at where you're receiving and where you're rejecting, and where you feel entitled, where you're out of alignment, where you're unbalanced, you know. What are the obstacles? What is blocking you from balancing out, receiving love, pouring love out? Because I think we're meant to be like this temperance, you know, receiving love and abundance. And there is an abundance. You just got to look out the window and get lost in the landscape, you know, how beautiful life is. And are we receiving it and pouring it into someone else's cup, you know, or are we sitting about kind of grasping what we got to ourselves with this sense of entitlement? You know, that's the kind of question we should be asking in terms of love. Am I serving others with the abundance that I have, or am I without abundance? You know, look in life and see where you're blocked from abundance. Yeah, so they're the kind of reflections for today. Now, what I've got here, because they said is the left arm, the right arm, and the fourth, it's also associated with the throat chakra. So out of the chakra deck, I've got the throat chakra card. So I'm going to randomly pull one of those. So we'll halve them. So yeah, we have the truth card. So this is about an expression of truth, you know, expressing our truth, you know, what we believe, who we are, speaking up in the world, expressing ourselves as who we are. You know, do we know ourselves? Do we know our truth? Because we're supposed to be expressing the beauty, the abundance, the mercy, the huge generous love that comes to us in so many ways, you know, through nature, through our families, through, so it's a case of what is your truth. It's also a reflection on, you know, are there any blockages between you and other people because you can't speak your truth because you're afraid to speak up? Are you repressing? Are you blocking the flow of abundance through you because you're afraid of expressing who you are and what you are? And that can be a really difficult one. You know, are you expressing your truth in love, in compassion? Yeah. So there we have it. This is Chesed of Chesed, and as I say, you know, use it as a reflection. I will post them daily over a period of 49 days. Yeah, and if you want to know a bit more about the Aries season, about the practice of counting the Omer, or, you know, any of that, please look at the blog, because I think it will give you some background stuff and a bit more understanding. But if you do know about it, and, you know, just use it as a reflection, take the time to reflect on loving kindness. You know, there's so much love, so much abundance, and we need to align to it. Okay, so lots of love to you all. Bye bye.